Good morning, students. This is your Hardcore 2 class. In your last class, you have studied about structure of chromosomes, and in this class, let us discuss about structure of chromatin and also transposons. First, let us know about the structure of chromatin. So in most of the species of animals and also in plants, it is seen that certain segments of chromosomes at various stages of mitosis and also meiosis are more or less condensed than rest of the karyotype. That is, the segments of chromosomes, they have condensed form. That is, it might be of a high or it may be of a light condensation we are going to observe, and the differential condensation observed in different chromosomes or different regions of chromosomes, and it's called as a heteropyknosis. And the heteropyknosis may be positive where there is over condensation, and it may be negative where there is under condensation. So we are going to observe both positive and also negative heteropyknosis regarding the condensation. So the chromatin material which remains in a highly condensed state throughout the divisional cycle is called as a heterochromatin. So if the chromatin material is highly condensed, we call it as heterochromatin, and if that remains less condensed, then it becomes extended or less coiled, and we call it as a euchromatin. So first let us move to the heterochromatin, and this heterochromatin was originally introduced by Hitz in the year of 1928, and it is associated with the tight folding and coiling of a chromosome fiber. That's why it's stained deeply. So in the diagram you are going to observe the presence of heterochromatin. So the dark stained regions, these are the heterochromatin regions. So these are the dark stained regions are the heterochromatin. And heterochromatin is a late replicating. So the replication in case of the heterochromatin is very late, and it replicates at the end of the phase of a mitotic cycle and is considered genetically inert substance, but it controls the metabolism of a chromosomes and biosynthesis of a nucleic acid. So if it is a late phase, but also it is going to control the metabolism of chromosome and also biosynthesis of nucleic acids. And the DNA of heterochromatin is genetically inert and doesn't transcribe mRNA for protein synthesis. So here protein synthesis is not taking place. And there are two main types of heterochromatin according to the Brown in 1966. And the main types of heterochromatin are constitutive heterochromatin and also facultative heterochromatin. So first let us know what is constitutive heterochromatin. So it is a permanently condensed, genetically conservative, late replicating material and is mostly inactive during the protein synthesis. So this constitutive heterochromatin is inactive during a protein synthesis. Here it is a constitutive heterochromatin. So this is the permanently condensed heterochromatin, and it is generally found in blocks, usually around areas such as the centromeres and secondary constriction. So in the diagram you are going to observe here is the secondary constriction, and in the region of a And next to the region of a secondary construction, we are going to observe the constitutive heterochromatin, and it tends to have a common position of on homologous chromosomes. So second one is a facultative heterochromatin. So it contains active genes but may become condensed and genetically inactive in response to physiological and also developmental conditions. And it comprises about 2.5% of genome, and it also appears in the neutrophils in the form of some types of bodies, and attached to one on the lobes of the nucleus. So these facultative heterochromatin, they appears in neutrophils, and these are going to attach to one lobes on the nucleus. So next is the functions of heterochromatin. So first one is it is going to prevent a mutation and also crossing over. So heterochromatin is going to prevent mutation and crossing over, and it attracts homologous chromosomes for pairing during a meiosis. So during the meiosis, it's going to attract the homologous chromosomes for a pairing. And the centromeric heterochromatin, it helps in separation of chromosomes during the cell division. So the heterochromatin, which is situated near the centromere, it helps in the separation of the chromosomes during the cell division. And it also functions as a stops and initiation sites for the transcription. So during the transcription, this heterochromatin, it helps to stop and also start the process of transcription. So these are the functions of heterochromatin. So next is the euchromatin. So euchromatin are a non-condensed and light stained region of a chromatin, and so they are called as a euchromatin. So the light stained part, so these are the light stained part, and these are called as a euchromatin. In the earlier days, it was believed that the euchromatin only consists of genes, but nowadays it is clear that both the heterochromatin and also euchromatin consists of genes. So earlier days, it has told that only the euchromatin consists of genes, but nowadays it has proved that both heterochromatin and also euchromatin consists of genes. So this is regarding the information of heterochromatin and euchromatin. So next, let us move to the transposons. So earlier it was thought that the genes were static and had definite and fixed locus. So first it was known that if it is the genes, they are static in nature, but due to some of the observation and studies, the conception is changed. However, several types of gene rearrangement and recombination have come to light recently, and segments of DNA that can jump to the target sites in the genome were first discovered by Barbara McClintock, and she had observed that Indian maize corn have a cobs with the kernels of different colors. So what is the first? The scientist had proved that the genes were static, but due to certain studies, they have told that the genes can jump to the target sites. And it was first discovered by Barbara, and she had told that in a maize corn, The copies with the kernels have a different colors, and this is due to the jumping genes or transposons. According to her, the light colored kernels were caused by a segment of DNA that jumped into the genes coding the pigmented colors, and she had proved that the segment of DNA, it has jumped from the genes coding the pigmented colors, so the kernels were white in or light in colors. And transposons can jump within the genomes, thus affecting the expression of genes. They are quite different from the reciprocal or homologous exchange of DNA, and the movement of DNA segment is called as a transposition, and it is a specific form of genetic recombination that causes movement of certain genetic elements from one site to another. So these transposons are responsible for the movement of a DNA, and transposons inserted within a gene led to the disruption of their function. When they are inserted within the regulatory sequences of genes, they cause a change in a gene expression. So by this we have to take an example of a maize plant, and in this main plant the pigmented kernels are transferred to light colored colors due to the segment of DNA that has jumped into the genes that have coding for a pigmented kernels. And there are two types of transposons. First one is a simple non-replicative transposition, and the second one is DNA transposition by replicative mechanism. So let us know about the first type of transposon, that is simple non-replicative transposition. So it involves accession of a transposon from its original location to new DNA site. So this is also known as cut and paste transposition. So this is a segment of a DNA. So here it is the original site and here it is a new site. So in the simple non-replicative transposition, there is a accession of a transposon from original site to the new site. So it is called as a cut and a paste transposition. So second one is a DNA transposition by replicative mechanism. Here the transposable segments generate a new copy by replication. So the transposons, they are going to form a new copy by a replication. The first copy remains at the original site and second copy move to a new site anywhere within the genome. So in the diagram you are going to observe this is the transposon, and here new copy is also going to form, that is a copy of transposon by the process of replication, and here in the genome the new copy and also old copy, they stay along with each other. Next is the structure of transposon. So the transposons are stretches of DNA that have repeated DNA segments. So this is the stretches of DNA having a repeated segment and at either end. So the repeated segments are present at the either end. A transposon consists of a central sequence. So this is a central sequence that has transposes gene and additional genes. So this is flanked on both sides by short repeated DNA segments, and the repeated segments may be direct repeats or inverted repeats. So these repeat segments or maybe direct repeat or a inverted repeats, and these terminal repeats help in identifying the transposon. So these are the repeated segments helps in identifying the transposons. The number of repeated nucleotides is uneven, and it may be 5 or 7 or 9 nucleotides, and due to its method of insertion at the target site, that is in the repeat segments, the number of nucleotides is uneven. Next is the target sequence. So the site where a transposon is inserted is called as a target site or a recipient site. So the region where the transposon is going to insert, and that region is called as a target site. Before the transposon is moved into the target site, the target sequence is duplicated. So in the diagram you are going to observe the duplication of the target sequence. So before going to inserting of the transposon, the target sequence is going to duplicate. The two copies formed move apart. So you are going to observe here the two copies are moving apart, and transposon is inserted in between the two copies of the target sequence. So next is mechanism of transposition. So how the transposition is going to form. The enzyme transposase present in the transposon makes nicks or cuts in each strand of the target sequence. So these are the nicks. So that is also called as a cuts. So the enzyme transposase is going to make a nick or cut, and this enzyme transposase is present in a transposon, and the target sequence is duplicated and two copies move away to make way for the transposon in the center. So the target sequence is going to duplicate. So in the diagram you are going to observe the duplication of the target sequence, and the transposon then fixes itself into the two free ends generated. So here is the transposon, and it is going to fix between the two free ends what are generated, and the nicks are sealed by the ligase and two strands become continuous. So after the activity of the enzyme ligase, these two nicks, so the formed nicks are going to sealed by the enzyme ligase, and the two strands are going to become a single continuous strand. So this is how the mechanism of transposition is going to takes place. So next is the function of transposons. So first function, that is mutation, is caused by the transposons. So transposons are inserted within the genes affecting their function, thus cause disruption of their functions. So when they are inserted within the regulatory sequences of the genes, they cause change in their expression. So when the transposons are added, they are going to cause a change in the expression. They are most common source of mutations, and transposons may insert stop codons, thus producing truncated proteins. So in case of a Drosophila, majority of spontaneous mutations are caused by transposons, and the mutant white-eyed Drosophila is produced by transposable element inserted into the gene, which normally produces red pigment. And in also in case of a human beings, so these transposons cause many genetic diseases. And second function is formation of a new genes. So exon shuffling, by which the functional units of two existing genes recombine, generating a new gene. And exon duplication and divergence also play a role in formation of a new genes. So next is the pseudogenes. So transposons introduce a great genome flexibility, and sometimes duplicated genes and other transposons do not succeed in making a functional gene, and therefore they become pseudogenes, that is they become dead by the products of a evolution. And the pseudogenes are frequent in mammalian genome, and they are unable to produce mRNA for translation. So these are the some of functions of a transposons. By this, in this class we came to know about the chromatin material, that is both heterochromatin and euchromatin, and also the information regarding the transposons, how the transposons help in expression of some of the characteristics. So thank you.